Thank you very much. It is now my immense pleasure to introduce to you someone who in so many ways, perhaps more than anyone else in the country, has really shown what can be done when you stand up and campaign against the odds. You can win. And in Sarah Olney, I think we have not only one of the most accomplished by-election victors I have ever encountered, we have certainly one of the most confident first-time MPs I've ever come across, and someone who is wonderfully and unapologetically and passionately pro-European. Sarah Olney.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you, Conference, for that warm welcome. I would not be speaking to you all here this evening, and I certainly wouldn't be in the House of Commons without the help of so many people here today in this hall. Your efforts on my behalf and on behalf of the party were incredible to behold. I will never forget that cold November weekend when we had over 1,000 Liberal Democrat activists out on the streets of Richmond Park. You came in your scarves and your gloves and your hats from the furthest reaches of Olney to the depths of Cornwall. Perhaps even more surprisingly, some people even found their way to my little corner of southwest London from North London. And I'm so grateful that you all gave your valuable time, your goodwill, your shoe leather, because in overturning a 23,000 Conservative majority, together we sent a clear message to the country, to everyone, from our sharpest critics to our keenest supporters: the Liberal Democrats are back. Now, winning in Richmond felt good, but I know that Liberal Democrat campaigners were motivated to come to Richmond in their hundreds, not just because we like winning, and not just because we take a strange pleasure in delivering leaflets. We campaigned so hard, and we won that by-election because we believe that democracy isn't about keeping quiet. We know that this government's headlong race to a hard Brexit is wrong, and saying so isn't undemocratic. It isn't ignoring the will of the people. It's to do what oppositions should do, to speak out and to stand up for what we believe is right. We Liberal Democrats will not stand by while Theresa May sets fire to every bridge we have with our friends and neighbours in Europe. It's wrong, and nothing and nobody will stop us from saying so. Now, I must say, if I've learned one thing from the past few months in Parliament, it's that Labour just can't be trusted to do the job of opposition in our country. They ricochet daily from timidity to incompetence and back. One day, they want to defend the single market. The next, they vote against protecting Britain's place in it. One day, they believe in democracy. The next, they abstain on the question of giving the British people the final say on the Tories' hard Brexit deal. The result? Government only real opposition comes from the right-wing press and its own Europhobe backbenchers, or indeed, in George Osborne, from both. So, fellow Liberal Democrats, it's up to us to prove them wrong. And we can, because there is so much of the country where we are the only challengers to the Conservative Party. I grew up in a Conservative area, Surrey Heath, where Michael Gove is currently the MP. I've observed Conservative voters in their natural habitat. I know them. They're honest, hard-working, compassionate people. They want to be able to bring up their families, pursue their livelihoods, and look out for their neighbours. But I also know, from talking to lifelong Conservative voters on the doorsteps of Richmond Park, that they feel betrayed. This is not a Conservative government that reflects their values anymore. They don't think that this Conservative government cares that much about the disadvantaged, about inequality, and certainly not about the future stability and prosperity of this country. Those are the things that I care about. And for me, and for 20,510 voters in Richmond Park, today those values are best represented by the Liberal Democrats. I want to live in a country that values every individual and welcomes the contributions they can make, not a country that only rewards a select and already privileged few. I want to live in a country that includes everyone in its communities and supports the less advantaged, not a divided country where families and neighbours are set against each other and people are judged for their misfortunes. I want to live in a country that feels confident in itself and wants to have positive relationships with other countries, not a country that is fearful and angry, shutting out the rest of the world and being suspicious of newcomers. It's those values that first attracted me to the Liberal Democrats. And it was the loss of our party's vital voice from government that persuaded me to join. So I'm proud not only to be the party's newest MP, and to be, currently, our only female MP, but also proud to be one of the 40,000 Lib Dem newbies who've joined our party since the general election. 40,000 reasons to believe that we Liberal Democrats are going places and that soon we'll be back in government, making a difference and building a country that welcomes and values everyone. For me, a fundamental part of that ambition to build and safeguard a fair, open, tolerant country is that we keep up the fight, not just for Britain's place in Europe, but for the place of Europeans in Britain. 10% of the residents in my constituency are EU citizens. Some work in the low-paid jobs that people always think of when they think of immigrant labour, but many more are doctors, lawyers, teachers, accountants. Even these confident, articulate, professional people are now at a loss, and the most vulnerable are petrified. In the 15 short weeks since I was elected, I have had people in my surgery in tears. One was an elderly widow who has lived in this country for 40 years, scared stiff that she might be sent back to France. Since she has no family, no friends, no home in France, but she was born there. And the government is telling her that her right to live in this country, her home, should be a bargaining chip, a pawn on the chessboard of their destructive Brexit plan. Friends, it just couldn't be more disgraceful. Only we Liberal Democrats will fight for that lady and for all of those 3 million of our fellow citizens who are today in limbo, wondering what the future will hold. The Conservatives have abandoned them. They cannot rely on Labour, but we will be at their side and on their side, arguing that whatever the outcome of the Brexit negotiations, you cannot withdraw residency rights from people who have done no wrong, who've paid their taxes, who've made a massive contribution to this, their country. Our message to them is this: this is your Britain just as much as ours. In my memory, British politics has never been quite so ugly as it is today, but it's the triumph of these ugly forces that makes our place in politics all the more important. I consider it a huge privilege to be working with Tim Farron and with you, our 85,000 members, to fight for the open, tolerant, united Britain in which we all so strongly believe. This is your party, and my election shows that anyone can join and can contribute and even get elected to Parliament. Your very presence in this party gives it a brighter future. And if you want to get on the council or fight to be an MSP, an AM or an MP, then don't think that you can't do it. You can do it, and we need you to try. I want to thank everyone again from the bottom of my heart for all you did in Richmond Park. We've shown ourselves to be the liberal force and the winning force in British politics. So enjoy your evening, enjoy this conference, and then let's get back out there to argue for the kind of country that we believe in, to fight for the values that so much of Britain shares, and to win more Liberal Democrat voters and more Liberal Democrat victories. I just know we can do it. And now it's my enormous privilege to introduce the man who's going to take us there. Ladies and gentlemen, the leader of the Liberal Democrats and my new boss, Mr. Tim Farron.